Now, I want to ask you about, before we get on to The Voice, I want to get your reaction today to a story in The Australian by Liam Mendes, who I'm going to have on the show a bit later, about violence in Darwin. This is really shocking footage captured by a woman and mother trapped in her apartment, and there was just crime unfolding, middle of the day, people wielding tomahawk axes. You know, what's unfolding here? Why is this still happening?
It's happening because there's been lack of action to begin with regard to how, the violence and the offending that takes place. A lot of this violence, it is being, as you can see by the footage as well, perpetrators, a vast majority of those perpetrators are Indigenous perpetrators, and because authorities don't want it to appear like a race issue, so they are less likely to be more effective when it comes to dealing with these crimes appropriately. And it even speaks to the whole issue of child protection as well in the Northern Territory, places like the Northern Territory. The children that are on our streets late at night are children who are the responsibility of Territory families, but because they are Indigenous children, are treated differently and therefore aren't necessarily removed from dysfunctional circumstances. But the same can be said when it comes to understanding the way in which traditional culture lends itself to the acceptance of violence. A lot of the violence, I look at that footage and what I see is probably an act of payback attempting to take place. And this has to be acknowledged and understood. This isn't a result of the impacts of colonisation. This is traditional acceptance of levels of violence. And we need to start being honest about that in order to actually effectively deal with the issue.
Okay, that's a fascinating point of view there. Now, let's talk about